Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are really getting into something I think affects almost everyone. That mental hamster wheel, overthinking.
Yeah, that constant loop, second-guessing everything, asking everyone else what they think. It's analysis paralysis, and it just keeps you stuck.
So, the mission for this dive is pretty clear.
Uh,
How do we break free? How do we stop waiting for that perfect moment or feeling perfectly ready and actually start making choices?
exactly. We want to help you make decisions quicker, smarter, ultimately better, lead to a clearer head, maybe a bit more freedom in your life.
We looked at a lot for this one: behavioral economics, neuroscience, business strategy. And what jumped out is this isn't just about trying harder, is it? It's systemic.
That's the key insight, really. People think, oh, I just need more clarity, more information. But honestly, you probably don't have a clarity problem.
Okay.
You likely have a clutter problem. Your brain's just overloaded. We're going to pull from cognitive science, insights from people like Jeff Bezos, Antonio Damasio's neurology work.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, to really unpack why waiting to feel ready is maybe the biggest trap of all.
All right, let's dive into phase one then. Tackling what you called cognitive drag. We think mulling it over longer makes the decision better, but research says not so much.
Not only not so much, but it can actually make it worse. Stanford research found that excessive deliberation, trying to weigh every single tiny factor, can degrade your decision quality by up to 25%.
25%.
Yeah, you get less decisive, and often you just pick something suboptimal because, frankly, you're exhausted.
Right, you've run out of steam. This connects to that idea of willpower, or maybe it's something else. Is running out of willpower real?
It's very real, scientifically speaking. The mechanism is decision fatigue, which falls under ego depletion theory. Think of your mental energy like a phone battery.
Okay.
Every single decision, what shirt to wear, coffee or tea, hit snooze or get up, it draws down that battery, a finite resource.
So when the battery's low, say, end of the day, what happens? Do we just get irrational?
Your brain kicks into survival mode, basically. It looks for the easiest path. So that usually means one or two things. Avoidance, you just put off the big decision, do nothing.
Been there.
Or impulse, you grab the easiest, most familiar option, even if it goes against what you actually want long term. There was that study where people making lots of small choices earlier just couldn't exert self-control later.
So it's not laziness, it's depleted resources.
Exactly. It's a cognitive depletion issue, not a motivation one.
And this explains why you see high performers, the Steve Jobs, Obamas, Zuckerbergs, simplifying ruthlessly. Same outfit every day.
Yeah,
It's about saving that mental energy.
precisely. Think about that study with the judges making parole decisions. It was striking.
Yeah, tell us about that one.
They found judges were way more likely to grant parole early in the day or right after a break, like lunch.
Their battery was charged, right?
As the day wore on, after reviewing case after case, they got mentally tired. Cognitive load built up.
And fatigue led them to just deny, take the default path.
That's it. They defaulted to the safer, standard option, which was denying parole. They just didn't have the mental energy left for the more complex, nuanced decision of granting it. Every little should I adds up.
Okay, the takeaway seems obvious then. Protect that energy. Make big decisions when you're fresh, probably earlier in the day. But what about all those small things that still drain us?
That's where batching comes in. And using preset rules. Plan your meals for the week Sunday night. Lay out your clothes the night before. Decide your commute route in advance. Create simple if X then Y rules for recurring small choices.
Automate the small stuff.
Exactly. Stop the constant rumination on things that don't really move the needle. Save the energy.
Okay, energy managed. But sometimes the decision itself just feels huge, complex. Which brings us to step two, labeling the decision type. Bezos' framework, right?
Yes, this is crucial. Bezos talked about type 1 and type 2 decisions, and the biggest mistake most of us make, treating everything like it's type 1.
Like it's life or death, irreversible.
Right, which leads straight to paralysis. We need to differentiate.
So break it down for us. Type 1 versus type 2.
Okay, type 1 decisions are the big ones. High stakes, basically irreversible. If you mess up, it's catastrophic or incredibly difficult and costly to undo. Think like selling your company or a massive strategic pivot. These need deep thought.
Got it. And type 2?
Type 2 are reversible. They're two-way doors. If you make the choice and it's wrong, you can walk back through, adjust, try something else without major damage.
And realistically, most of our daily or weekly agonizing decisions probably fall into type 2, don't they? Like which project to tackle first, or maybe hiring a freelancer.
Absolutely. They might feel huge emotionally, but functionally, they're often reversible. And here's another trap. we limit our options. You hate your job, you think it's stay and suffer or quit and be broke.
The binary trap?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the type 2 mindset opens that up. Okay, maybe you learn a new skill on the side. Maybe you start a small side project. Maybe you network aggressively while still employed. Labeling it reversible just reveals more pathways.
So a key question to ask yourself is, if this goes wrong, can I recover? If yes, move faster.
Precisely. If the downside is manageable, don't get bogged down. Which leads right into the 70% rule.
Ah, yes, Bezos again. Make the call when you have about 70% of the information you wish you had. Why 70%? Why not wait for 90%?
Because getting from 70% certainty to 90% often takes just as long or even longer than getting the first 70%. That extra time kills your speed, your momentum.
It's diminishing returns.
Hugely diminishing returns, waiting for 90% or 100%. That's usually perfectionism pretending to be diligence. You're confusing a lack of perfect information with a lack of sufficient information.
This sounds like that concept of satisficing aiming for good enough rather than perfect, because perfect is often unattainable or too costly.
Exactly. Good enough, combined with speed and the ability to course correct, often beats slow perfection. Look at Amazon's history, picking warehouse locations. Type 2. They could be nimble, adjust if one didn't work out. Building AWS, their cloud computing platform. Huge infrastructure bet. Clearly type 1. That took years of careful, deliberate planning. Be fast with two-way doors. Be thoughtful with one-way doors.
Okay, this is making sense logically, but let's shift gears into phase 2, because often the real block isn't logic, it's emotion, right? Which brings us to step 3, and this one feels counterintuitive. Feel first, then think.
It really does go against how we think we should decide, doesn't it? But this is where Antonio Damasio's work is so powerful. His big idea, we make our decisions emotionally, then justify them logically. We're feeling machines that think, not the other way around.
Okay, but if emotions are driving, how can we trust that? Aren't emotions biased, irrational sometimes? Especially when we're stressed or fatigued.
It's not about letting raw, unchecked emotion run the show. It's about understanding that emotion isn't the enemy of logic. It's actually essential for logic to function effectively in decision-making. Damasio studied patients with damage to a specific brain area, the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the VMPFC. This spot links our rational thinking areas with our emotional processing and gut feelings.
And without that link, what happened to them?
Intellectually, they were fine. Normal IQs. They could list pros and cons, analyze data, but they became paralyzed by simple everyday decisions.
Like what?
Like, where to eat lunch? Which pen to use? When to schedule an appointment? Basic choices became impossible because they lacked the emotional input, that gut feeling that tells you what matters, what you prefer, what feels right or wrong on a deeper level.
Wow, so without the emotional signal, logic just spins. It doesn't know where to land.
Exactly. Emotion provides the underlying value judgment, the saliency. It's the compass, the logical reasons we tell ourselves afterwards. That's often just the map we draw to justify the direction the compass pointed us in.
So if I'm feeling really anxious about a potential job change, the logical reasons I list, like market uncertainty, might just be masking a deeper emotional fear.
Very possibly. Maybe it's fear of failure, fear of the unknown, anxiety about losing your identity tied to the old job. The emotion is the real driver. The logic is the story we tell ourselves about it.
So how do we use this constructively, not just be driven by fear or excitement?
Use a quick check-in before you dive into the pros and cons list, like a 3-step process. 1, actually name the dominant feeling. Is it fear? Excitement? Maybe envy? Guilt? Just label it.
Okay.
2, ask yourself, is this feeling based on the current reality, or is it maybe an echo from the past? Is it a trustworthy signal, or is it distorted?
Like an old pattern kicking in.
Right. And then, step 3, bring in the logic, bring in the Bezos framework. Assess the stakes. Now you're integrating head and heart, not just reacting.
That makes sense. Acknowledge the feeling, assess its validity, then apply the rational tools. Okay, if we're tuning into that inner compass, step 4 helps us look further ahead. Play the 10-10 game.
Yeah, this is a great tool for perspective, often credited to Susie Welch.
Yeah.
Because so many regrets come from short-sightedness, right? Reacting to the immediate pressure or desire.
So what are the questions?
Super simple. Ask yourself, how will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes? Then, how will I feel about it in 10 months? And finally, how will I feel about it in 10 years?
10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years. What does that actually do in the brain?
It forces you to engage your prefrontal cortex, specifically the dorsolateral part. That's your brain's CEO, responsible for long-term planning, impulse control, executive function. It pulls you out of the immediate emotional reaction and into a more considered, future-oriented state.
It stops the impulsive mistake.
Exactly. And a useful tip here is to actually say your answers out loud, maybe record them on your phone. Something about vocalizing it tends to access a deeper level of honesty than just thinking it silently.
Interesting. Okay, let's move into phase 3. We've managed energy, classified the decision, checked our emotions, looked long-term, and are dealing with the fear of getting it wrong. Step 5. Create a regret simulation. Sounds intense.
It's about using regret proactively, not just fearing it. Research, like some from Harvard, shows we often overestimate how bad future regret will feel. Our predictions are often exaggerated.
So we shouldn't just avoid anything that might cause regret.
No, instead we should reframe the kind of regret we're trying to avoid. Shift the focus from outcome regret, what if I fail, to integrity regret.
Integrity regret. What's that?
It's about asking yourself this really powerful question. If I choose this path and it totally bombs, it fails completely, will I still respect the person I became in the process of trying?
So it's not about whether you won or lost, but about whether you acted in alignment with your values, whether you were courageous or decisive or whatever quality you aspire to.
Precisely. Did you act with integrity? If the answer is yes, then even if the outcome isn't what you hoped for, you can still be proud of the attempt. You minimize the deeper regret of inaction or cowardice. Stop asking, what if it goes wrong? And start asking, what if I never even try?
That shifts things significantly, which leads beautifully into step 6. Ask the 3 identity questions. This moves beyond just pros and cons, right?
Yeah, it draws on deeper wisdom, like some found in Vedic philosophy. It shifts from just what's smart or what maximizes pleasure, minimizes pain, to what is truly in alignment with who I want to be.
Okay, what are the questions?
3 core questions. 1, what kind of person do I ultimately want to become? 2, which of the choices in front of me best reflects that version of me?
The future, aspirational me.
Exactly. And 3, what am I willing to endure or even lose to protect that identity, to stay true to that path?
So it's like, if I want to become a more courageous person, which decision aligns with courage, even if it feels scary?
But that's exactly it. Make the choice as that future self. When you anchor the decision in identity rather than just external outcomes, the right path often becomes much clearer. Deciding who you are becoming is arguably the most important decision of all.
Okay, so you've done the work, you've asked the questions, you've made the choice based on energy, type, emotion, long-term view, integrity, identity. What's the final step?
Step 7 is critical. Decide, then move. Immediately. Because the hard truth is, no decision is still a decision. It's a decision to stay stuck.
And our brains don't like that stuckness, do they? That uncertainty.
No, they hate it. Neurologically, the anterior cingulate cortex, a part of the brain involved in error detection and conflict monitoring, becomes highly active during uncertainty. That's why indecision feels so much like anxiety. It is anxiety on a neural level.
So waiting for the anxiety to go away before deciding is backward.
Completely backward. Action is what reduces the anxiety, not more thinking or waiting. Once the choice is truly made, you have to cement it with movement.
What kind of movement?
Something tangible, physical, ideally within 5 minutes. Send the email, make the call, book the flight, cancel the subscription, buy the domain name. Whatever the very first concrete step is, take it.
Lock it in, break the inertia.
Yes. That small action conquers the anxiety of ambiguity and signals to your brain, okay, we're moving now.
Wow. Okay, that was a lot, but incredibly practical. We went from understanding cognitive drain and decision fatigue
to using the Bezos Type 1, Type 2 framework to know when to think deep and when to move fast.
then tuning into our emotional compass with Damasio's insights, using the 10-10 rule for perspective.
Then finally, anchoring decisions in integrity and identity, and crucially, taking immediate action.
These steps really give you a toolkit to cut through the overthinking, preserve that mental energy for what matters, and stop getting paralyzed by choices, especially the reversible ones that steal so much time.
Absolutely. And maybe the final thought to leave everyone with is this. Shift your primary focus. Stop obsessing only about achieving the outcome, the dream job, the perfect relationship, whatever it is.
And focus on what instead?
Focus intensely on becoming the kind of person who is ready, capable, and deserving of those things. Making the decision about who you want to become is the master decision that unlocks everything else. Yet nobody really cares how many times you fell off the bike learning to ride, as long as you're riding it now. Just decide and start riding.